Hello everyone. Today I want to explain about one CloudFormation script that I found from GitHub. This script is quite powerful. It creates WordPress in single instance using CloudFormation template. And not only WordPress, this script or this CloudFormation template is also installing Apache web server, PHP, and also MySQL database. So I will share this link later in the description. First, I will copy this file and I'll just save into my notepad. I'll just name it WordPress single instance.yaml. And this script will take around 5 to 10 minutes to set up everything, all the resources. I'm going to run this script first and later I will explain during the creation. I'll explain what is the script about. Okay, so I'm creating the stock now. I will upload the template file and I'll choose the file, the one that I just saved. Next, I'll just name it WordPress stock. Okay, so this is all the parameters, the DB name, DB user, I will just put admin and then the password, DB root password. The instance type, I will choose micro, the free tier one. The key pair, I'll choose this one. This is for the IP address range that can be used to SSH the EC2 instance. Okay, and next, create stock. So it will take few minutes while the stock is being created. I'll just explain what is this script about. If we group all this script, the section, so it has few main section. The first one is the metadata. Metadata is contain the parameter group. So this CloudFormation interfaces parameter group is basically grouping the parameters into the label. So all this parameter is under database label, and this one is under instance connection. This is the metadata. The description is just description for this template. Parameters is all the fields that we inserted during the stock creation. So we saw just now that the parameter has DB name, DB password, root password, and so on, instance type. The mapping is the mapping from the parameter that we inserted. So it's for the instance type to the AMI basically. So when we choose this instance type, it has a value, lookup value, HVM64, and then it again map to the AMI based on the region. So basically this is the mapping to get the AMI ID. And the resource, okay, it has two resources. So the script create two main resources, which is the EC2 instance, the web server, and the web server security group. For the resources, you can see like the properties from the documentation. Okay, this script is utilizing the helper script. The helper script is needed when the command for during the launch instances is a lot. So you can't really use the user data because it's too much. If we put in user data, for that case, we can use the AWS CloudFormation init or the helper script. So it has some config here. The resource signal is basically the timeout in 50, this one is 15 minutes. So if the stack is not created within 15 minutes, then it will time out and roll back or cancel the stack creation. Okay, this config init has one config set, which is the WordPress install, and it has three config here: install cfn, install WordPress, and configure WordPress. It will run this config in this particular order that we specify here. The person who create the script doesn't really ordering based on this order, but he put in alphabetical order. But if you want to see which one run first, you can refer here. So for this case, it will run install cfn first, which is this one. And under each config, there are few category here, like file, services. The person who create the script is also ordering this category in alphabetical order. But which one run first, you can refer to the documentation. So in AWS resource init documentation, yeah, you can see is actually the CloudFormation init will run packages first, and then create user. Sources is to unpack the tar file or the zip file, and then files is to create the file. So after your packages install and then the sources unpack, then you can create a files. The files can contain commands, and then another command to run the files, and services to make sure the services is running when you launch the instances or when you restart the instance. Okay, so it's running in this particular order. But if you see the script, don't be confused. It's just they just arrange it in alphabetical order. So the first one from the config set is install cfn, right? This one, it actually create the files. Okay, it has two category here: files and services. The first one, files, is creating this cfn hub conf and cfn auto reloader.conf. The purpose of this file is actually if we update the stack creation, then it will also notify the helper script to again update the the config set. Yeah, so that's the purpose. You can just follow this. Actually, it's quite standard. Okay, and the second one is install WordPress. In install WordPress, it will run the packages first, like I have mentioned before in the documentation. So it's installing the yum package. This one is Apache server and MySQL, and then the PHP. Okay, after installing the packages, it will unpack the source. So it get the latest tar file from WordPress and unpack in this directory /var/www/html. And after that, it will create the files. There are three files being created here. Create WordPress config, WP config. It's actually copy from this sample WordPress config.php. We get this because we already unpack here the source from the source, right? So yeah, okay. So it actually we after unpack we will get this file and then we copy into another file. So and then it set sed basically is changing the database name, username, and password. This is the value, the parameter that we inserted during the stack creation, and we will edit this value inside the wp-config.php file, the one that we get from the config sample.php. And then another file that created during the second config uh, set is setup.mysql. It basically create the database, create user, and then the third one is index.html. It's basically the page HTML. Okay, the third one from the config set is configure WordPress. So during this configure WordPress, it's running the command. Yeah, it's running the MySQL admin, and then second one create the database, and the third one is configure WordPress from the create wp config file in this directory. Okay, so this one is creation of the helper script for installing the WordPress, Apache, and MySQL. The properties of EC2 instance, you can also check what are the mandatory from the documentation. Here the properties is the image ID, is also finding through the mapping. The parameter we inserted is the instance type, and then it will map to become the image ID, AMI ID, and then the instance type, key name, and then security group, which is referring to this resource. So it will run because this one is referring here, so it will run the web security group first. So this resource will be created first. And then the user data is basically running the cfn-init. So calling this script to run to our stack, and also calling the resource, the web server, which is our resource that being created, the EC2 instance. And then the config set, we have config set WordPress install in this region, and it also running the signal to tell if the stack, when we run the CloudFormation, right, we will see if it is created, completed or not. So that one, if the stack is not specified, we can get the wrong status here. It can be the stack creation is completed, but actually it got some issue behind. Okay, so if we see here, it's already completed, but I will finish my explanation about the script first. Okay, and then the second resources being created is security group. Is basically opening the port and which IP that can access to particular port. For this script, it's opening port 80, which is HTTP, and 22 for SSH from the HTTP 80 port is from any IP 000 okay, and SSH is actually mentioned is as a parameter mentioned during the stack creation. We open from everywhere as well, so all IP. And the last one is output. So the output that we define is the public IP and the website URL. So we capture the public DNS name / WordPress, then we can use this URL to access the WordPress. Okay, let's see the result of the stack. So the stack info, yep, can just skip this, and then this is the event during the creation in progress. Now it's 10:42, right? It's actually already completed on 10:33, like 10 minutes back. Okay, it's quite fast. The resource being created only two, the EC2 instance and the security group. The output is this IP, and this is the website URL. So if we click this one, I'm opening new tab. Okay, it already install WordPress and you just need to put the site title, username, password, your email, and tick to check if it is visible to search engine or not. Then you can install WordPress after put all this information and your website will be done. Amazing, right? Yeah, this script very powerful. I'll put in the description later. Please have a try, but beware or as a warning that you will get charged if you choose instant type that not in the free tier. Okay, thanks everyone for watching. God bless you. Bye bye.